Good morning, Facebook people, and anyone watching on the internet. This is Blind Justice on the streets of Aberdeen, day 8. We are sitting again out front of City Hall, here on the corner of Market and I Street, and just wanted to say that this peaceful protest has been going well, and we've had, again, majority positive interactions with people, vast majority actually, and encouraging and any conversations that we've had in person with people on the street has either started with agreement or through conversation ended with agreement. So, and then that's just part of why we're out here, is a lack of understanding in the community, whether it be the local community or the community as humanity at large. There's just a lack of understanding of one another, and that really there is. The one another is kind of an illusion that we are brothers and sisters. We have way more in common than we have differences. So just wanted to do a quick review of our encounters of the last few days with some of the city officials, and kind of let you guys know, the public, of how the city of Aberdeen officials handle different situations and their level of training or education in different situations, so that you're informed on what we've experienced. So we've had police interaction with some of the local law enforcement here at the APD, and I've given updates as those have happened. And so the first day, I think, when we were out front of the police department in the afternoon, which was last Thursday, so a week ago, we had a few officers come out and they read the sign and said, "Oh yeah, we like that. We agree." So that was fun, and we've had waves from officers from different departments going by, waving at us. We've had a few officers when we had large crowds of protesters with us, and so some were pushing towards the edge of the sidewalk and having their feet off the edge. We've had an officer pull over for the concern, even though there's a wide shoulder, and I think it was in a yellow painted area, so that nobody's really supposed to park there or even use it as a turn lane. But he pulled over at a concern for the safety of the people sitting there and asked if they would pull their feet off the curb. So that was a fellow human looking out for another human safety, and something as a peace officer, that's what they do. So it's really cool to try to keep peace, keep violence from happening. Preventative, right? Education, which is what we're all about. So we appreciate that. We also have encountered a few days ago, I don't remember the exact day right now off my head, but a few Aberdeen police officers approached some of our friends that were sitting on the sidewalk just a block south of us on Wishka. And when I walked over, and I didn't have video going at that point because I was by myself. I had one person at the corner who stayed with the signs, and I walked over to potentially dialogue with the officers and the people sitting to see if there's anything I can help to resolve, anything I can do to resolve the situation peacefully. Well, it was great because the resolution happened as soon as I walked up, right? The police officers peacefully went to their vehicles and peacefully drove away. So that was a positive engagement. We also have had a few officers 2 days ago. Dave and Wayne came by and gave us some coffee and some Aberdeen Police Department mugs, and then Dave asked me later that day if I still had the mug, and I told him, well, I gave it away to somebody who's living in some apartments a block away, didn't have any dishes, so he was actually appreciative of that that mug is getting put to use, more use than I probably would have put it to. So that's been positive encounters there. We also did a public records request, or attempted to, at the police department yesterday afternoon. There's video for that on the page. Check that out. And when we went in for that, well, the first day I think we went in to request the form, and that was I think there was a camera rolling for that. I don't think we posted that. because it was just so fast. It was, can you get a public records request? And they handed the form, and they said, here you go, have a great day. So they, that was neat. And then yesterday, we went in with the camera to submit the form for the public request, public records request we were trying to do yesterday, with the camera rolling, and the lady at the desk had no issues with the camera. Tried to figure out how to fulfill the request, and was getting more information on how to do that, and directed us to a different location, which we may do a video on later on that request, on how to get information on call logs for the police department, which is what that request is for. So we'll probably do a video on that in a bit. But I think there was also an officer also trying to help figure out who exactly needed to call, and they got the phone number and everything. So that video is there. But they were all positive, encouraging, and not ashamed to be on camera. You know, not afraid to be on camera. Not intimidated by the camera, right? So that was good. That was an uplifting encounter. So they directed us next door to City Hall here, which is right behind me, for the other public records request that we were trying to submit to get the video of the front of the building from day one when we were out here last Thursday afternoon. And my daughter saw a law enforcement officer give her the finger. So there has been a few gestures that and people yelling different things as they drive by
really fast
throughout the 8 days. But even in those situations, the human making those gestures or yelling, or even people online that are doing so in a tone that isn't obviously loving, it is still an expression of love, and it's still an expression of a please, of a need that they're trying to express to a fellow human being. And so we can hear it as such. We can hear that even someone that yells something and you know, says we're number one with their hand when they drive by, is an unskilled attempt of sharing love or sharing a please for a request, right? So that's what we hear when that happens. And so we try to respond in kind. Oh, there's a please. And if we invite, you know, anybody that has that or has been commenting as such to come out and have a conversation, and maybe we can hear your pleas, right? And address your need as well. So public records requests here at City Hall was a different encounter than the one at the police station. The clerk behind the desk, I think that the finance desk, because it's the only like counter downstairs in the ground level. It's a glass, you know, there's a glass window, and you slide, there's a little tray thing you slide stuff into for paying bills or put in a request form. And the lady there, unfortunately, was upset by the camera, the presence of the camera, or maybe there's other factors. I don't know. She didn't want to dialogue and tell us exactly what her concern was. Only that she didn't want to be on camera, and we informed her, well, you're a public servant in a public place, and there's no expectation of privacy. It's the right of the public to record what's going on in public, and especially to see how their officials handle situations, such as how to do a public request form. So this is, you know, part of the goal of that video is informational, just like most of these videos, is to help everyone have an understanding of different processes here in your local town of how to get information that's public record, right? So it's a learning experience for us because I think we had the wrong form, but the legal department came down with Eric Larson, the mayor, and so the city attorney helped figure out what exactly we needed to do with adjusting the form, and she was very courteous and kind and helpful. Had no issue with being on camera. And then we had a enjoyable, pleasant conversation with Eric again yesterday, and that was for the second day in the row. There's another video. It's about a 20-minute long video from YouTube that we posted, where we had another we were coming here 2 days ago for an interview with Eric, but we were hoping to do it in his office. He just came out because he saw my friend Larry and was concerned about Larry's vehicle. So on that, so for the City Hall encounter, then we have maybe some area for improvement for educating the employees, informing the employees that that are on the ground level, that even though they have a window barrier and everything, to educate them that the privacy that we enjoy as private citizens doesn't necessarily apply when you're a public servant in a public place, at City Hall. So hopefully that's room for education there for the staff. But positive note also for Eric specifically was the first day, so 2 days ago, that we had the conversation with him out here in front of City Hall. When he realized the camera was rolling, because the person operating the camera was holding a baby, so it wasn't as obvious as my daughter holding the camera up, right? Because she was trying to hold a baby as well. So that's why the camera is moving around and the wind was blowing. But when he realized the camera was rolling, you can hear on the recording. He asked, "Were you recording?" "Well, you're legally required to tell me." And we informed him. So, "Well, no, that's actually not accurate. You're a public servant. This is a public place, right?" So that was the first encounter 2 days ago, and then yesterday, the tone has changed, right? So it looks like he heard what we said and potentially went to his legal counsel to verify the veracity of our claim that as a public servant in a public space, that there is no expectation of privacy, and you're well within your rights as a member of the public to record anything from a public vantage point, which is a public sidewalk or a public building, anywhere that the public can have access to. So the tone changed in the conversation yesterday, and he said, I think a few times, "You're well within your rights to record, in public." So that's great. So there was a step there where he may have been misinformed or had a misunderstanding with the first encounter, and then took the information at heart and applied it yesterday, the second encounter. So hopefully he can administratively set up some training for the rest of the city officials, not just here at City Hall, but any public official here in the city, and let them know that in public you don't have an expectation of privacy. It's just for all people walking around in public, but especially if you're a public servant, right? So that was encouraging encounter there at City Hall. So the police station, we get a big thumbs up for their First Amendment audit, right? No issues with walking in with the camera, freedom of the press, right? City Hall, they're working on it, right? So they identified some areas they can improve, and they're working on improving. So can't really give a full thumbs up, but a partial thumbs up. They've been working on it and learning and growing as we all do, right? If we realize that there's an area for improvement for the education, then we apply that and we grow. So that's a positive note for City Hall. But some of the other areas that City Hall can improve, well, it's almost 24 hours now since we went inside yesterday, and we telephoned the city provided numbers for all of the city council members and left messages, and there's videos on this page of us doing just that, and there's their names, their wards, the numbers that's posted on their website also. And we have yet to hear back from any of the city council members, and we're approaching the 24-hour mark on that. So that's unfortunate. Maybe there is a logistical issue here, a technical issue with the voicemail system, which a few of the council members speculated last Wednesday night. So that was 8 days ago, right? We had 8 days to address the issue. I asked them to address the issue in this safety committee meeting. I also asked that the issue be addressed at the very end of the city council meeting. So in case any of the council members and Mr. Larson were unaware of the minutes from that safety meeting, which they probably weren't because it was just prior to the council meeting, then they could also look into maybe checking out the voicemail system. So maybe that's the issue. And if that's the case, that also raises some questions. How long has that been down? Because we've been trying to call them for many weeks now leading up to the ordinances being passed. And if if we haven't been able to get through and be heard, then how many other voices in the community have been silenced, or not intentionally silenced, just the nature of maybe a technical difficulty being the silencer, right? Not to say there's anything nefarious going on, but technical difficulties, absolutely. So another technical difficulty that we've identified, areas for improvement here at City Hall, is the website. The City Council website is not up to date. So if you look at the YouTube videos we posted, I mentioned from the safety committee meeting, I mentioned a couple names that have been on the council for some years, because when we looked online, researching the safety committee meeting members, the names that we were given were an Alice Phelps and what's the other one? A John Smith, right? And they hadn't been on the council here in some time. But the page is still active, or at least discoverable. So that's a technical issue. It can't be found directly clicking on the links from the city's webpage, but if you do a search, you can still find that 2012, we found the date on it too late to realize that we were putting out old information. So you can still find the 2012 committee roster, but on the webpage for the City Council, the current roster they have is from 2017. So we're the last day of May here, right?
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the first day of June. So we're about halfway through 2018, and they still haven't updated their roster for their committees. So another issue that can be improved here at City Hall, right? Having accurate information for the public. So then when the public is trying to get a hold of somebody, they're trying to get a hold of the correct name, right? The correct person. So yeah, just some comments on the interactions with public officials. We did also talk with a young man named William yesterday on the street, who was sent out by the Parks and Rec Department to pressure wash the corner that we've been sitting on. So I don't know if he was directed specifically to that corner or to anywhere in the downtown, and he just started on that corner. We were going to try to get an interview with him on camera, but we wanted to get those request forms in before close of business. So if he's out washing the streets, we may ask him, who directed you, and was there any specific instructions on which corner to start on? Because there's interesting questions to ask. But he was very courteous when I approached him as he was getting closer to our spot that we were sitting on. If he was trying to get the whole corner cleaned, and he said yeah. And I asked if he needed us to move, if we were in his way. He said, he said he could try to move around us, but that we'd probably get wet. So I asked him that whenever he was wanting to get closer to where he felt we could get some splash, just to inform us, and then we'd pack up and move across the street, which we did. So again, another pleasant encounter with a city official or a public servant here in the town of Aberdeen. And we've got another friend, our friend Angel, out here again this morning. You want to hold the sign, Angel? Woo! Sitting for freedom. So we've had a couple people walk by this morning and say hi. Come on down and join us. Any support you can give is appreciated, whether it be sitting or standing or holding the sign or sharing some of the content online, or any other kind of donations. We've gotten food and drinks and even a couple dollars here and there that we were in turn able to hand out to people in need. So your thoughts as well, creative thoughts, is a wonderful resource that we have collectively as humanity. So any creative thought you have, any thought to address in an encouraging, uplifting manner, in a restorative manner, in a restorative manner to help address some of the underlying issues of the city, of the needy, of the impoverished. Please share those thoughts. Please share ideas. I know several people have spoken at council meetings sharing creative ideas to address situations for building facilities and other programs, and they don't necessarily have to be funded through public tax dollars. dollars, right? They can be funded privately, just from private citizens or private people of the community, where we build nonprofits and we invest out of a voluntary manner rather than out of a forced manner, right? Because the tax dollars are forced, or they're forced upon us. You don't really, you can choose to not pay. You try to choose to not pay, but then force will be used against you to try to get you to pay, right? So taxes is a form of extortion, and we can choose a voluntary approach to pay for services and facilities. So we have comments. Lily?
Yeah.
What do we have? Let's take a few comments.
Andy Estelle.
Okay.
The public does not have correct info concerning public officials and
Pertinent information, yeah.
They can't be well informed, and all questions from an informed stance seems counterproductive to running of a city.
Right. So thank you for the comment, Andy. We're trying to work on that. We're trying to help educate the public, and as part of the public, that is the public officials, right? The public servants. They are members of the public, members of the community. And as I had a conversation with, I want to say it was Councilman Cook, may have been Jim, yesterday morning. It's been a few mornings he's come out to talk with us, and he was one of the four council people to vote against the sit-lie ordinance. And as he put, he's given up some of his civil liberties just to be in the position, right? Just to be as a public servant. So he understands those limitations like privacy and things like that. So yes, we're absolutely trying to help raise awareness and education for all members of the public, whether they are in an office or not. Any other comments?
Nope.
No? All right. Well, that's our day 8 start kind of update and review of the City of Aberdeen public officials encounters that we've had the last 8 days. Overall, very positive, very pleasant. And I'll offer an apology to the lady at the counter if she was afraid or intimidated. It's absolutely not our intention. Is to have a peaceful conversation and document it for the public on how to request information with the public request forms. So if I get a chance to encounter her in person today, I'll express that apology for her uneasement yesterday and our part that we played in that. Definitely not our intention, but we absolutely want to help educate the officials here as well. So thank you again.
One more comment?
One more comment? Yeah.
Besides Mr. Cook, who else voted against this ordinance?
Oh, great
Sherry
question.
Parkes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Sherry.
Passed.
The Daily World here, the local newspaper, has that in one of the articles. Maybe we can get a copy of that and put it on the page for you, so make it easier to find. But they have because it's a roll call, they did a roll call vote, and I think it's the policy for the council to do a roll call vote on their final hearing, which they have 3 hearings whenever they try to pass an ordinance or pass legislation. So they do 3 readings. They do the first reading, and it's on the agendas, so people can find the agendas on the website, or you can come into City Hall and ask for one in hard copy. Unfortunately, they don't have much accessibility options for like sight impairment. They don't have Braille, but they have offered to have somebody read the agenda if that's if somebody so requested that. I have devices that can read text to me, and I have other people that help me as well. So I haven't utilized that yet. I might do the video and see if somebody is willing to do that, and I bet they'll probably be happy to do so because of all the positive engagements we've had. So we'll post a link to that so you can see who voted for, who voted against. But as far as the readings go, there's a first reading, and since it's on the agenda at the beginning of the city council meetings, and so this is something that I was unaware of the very first city council meeting I attended here because it happens so fast, and if you're not aware of what's happening, you could miss your opportunity to speak as a member of the public. So that happened, I think one of the first meetings I went to months ago, they were increasing the taxes here, right? And so we got wind of it, we came to the meeting, and at the very beginning of the meeting, they have an option for public comment on agenda items. So that is your opportunity as a member of the public to express your opinion, concerns, in open forum, on record, with the being audio recorded, even though the quality is not so great in there with the audio system, to address anything on the agenda, right? But because I was unaware that was happening, and I didn't know where the podium was, because I couldn't see it, it was my first time in the room. When they opened it up for public comment, it was really quick. Okay, we're gonna open for public comment on agenda items. Okay, nobody's moving. We're gonna close public comment. It was so really fast, right? And so that's, I guess, another opportunity then for the city to improve. I guess that'd be another critique, would be off of that encounter, to be aware of other people in different conditions, right? Somebody that's vision impaired can't see the podium, and if they've never been in the room, they don't know where it is, and so they may not just stand up and start wandering around the room. Right? So, okay. So I think we may have just posted that link on the page. But so there was that. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Great.
Hey, I'm at the Parks Department here,
Yeah.
and we take care of the flowers downtown.
Okay.
I was hoping to request to have the signs on the flower pots. We had some people that are pretty protective of them. They do a pretty nice job. We've actually had some damage to our flower pots. So
Okay.
if you guys sit here, if you won't mind just not using those for your signs, I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. Can you indicate what damage we're talking about?
Well, not necessarily from these, but we've had some throughout downtown. People ripping stuff out and digging stuff out.
Okay.
I'm not saying that was you guys by any means. But,
Yeah, sure.
But we've had some people that take care of the flowers.
Uh-huh.
That would like to have those removed. So if you guys wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be great.
Okay. Can you check this out to see if they are damaging the?
I just asked you if you just move the sign so there's no question about it. Yeah. Because that's what they're for. We've asked downtown business owners that have had signs, hey, please don't use those for signs in the past. So
Okay.
I think that's a reasonable request.
Right, but can you inspect it to make sure that we're not damaging it?
I don't see damage right now, but I would still request you to remove the sign.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll consider that, but we make sure that we backfill the holes we make and everything.
But why wouldn't you remove the sign?
Oh, because it's just sitting here peacefully and it's not damaging property.
But it is. I don't want to have to come out here and inspect it. What?
It is. So you're saying it is damaging?
No, but
Okay.
I mean, it seems like a reasonable request.
Okay, yeah, and I'm making a request that if the concern is damage, then you can inspect to see if there's damage, and if there is, then we can absolutely repair the damage and make sure that we won't continue to damage it. But if there's no damage, then we'll continue to peacefully just sit and hold signs.
I guess I'm going to make a request, regardless of damage, that you don't use our flower pots for your signs.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I thought that was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
It should be reasonable and think about.
What was your name?
I'm with the Parks Department. Doug.
Doug? All right, thanks, Doug. Have a great day. Okay, so Parks Department coming out to try to get us to move our signs. We have a couple signs and planters. And as far as I'm aware, it's not against the city ordinance to put a stick in dirt. Right? Which is essentially what this is. This is a stick in dirt where they have plants growing. And it's on the edge, not touching any of the plants. And it's not touching any of the roots. And we make sure we cover up replace the dirt so there's no damage. But so request was made. We asked if he would inspect it, and he didn't want to. But then I asked him a few times. He did look. Say, I don't see any damage. So his initial request is there was concern for damage. He verified there's no damage, so we're good. So continue to peacefully sit here with our signs in the dirt, sticks in the dirt. Let's see. So that was the first hearing, and then you have a second hearing. I'm sorry. The way that we're talking about how the city council works. At the end of the city council meeting, there's an opportunity for comment on anything.
With you, Assistant Parks Director for the
Yeah.
Parks Department. Okay, why are the signs still in the flower pots?
His concern was damage to the...
Right, they don't allow anybody to put these signs in the flower pots. So you can either hold on to them or I will take them from you. Okay?
And what's your name, sir?
I'm Bill. I'm the Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Aberdeen.
Okay, and do you have the code for that?
You can look it up on the city's website. So
Do you have
here's your sign,
Okay.
Okay.
That's personal property that you're taking.
and I have a right to do that.
Okay, can you
Or I
cite-
can write you a citation
Okay.
if you want.
Please,
Okay.
yes. Please write the citation. What
No,
are you,
I'm not.
What are you citing?
Okay.
This is personal.
All right. I'm not going to get into it. Okay.
This is personal property. Okay.
Right, but this is city property.
Right. And what is the ordinance you're trying to enforce?
Look it up in the city code.
No, it's you. You are obligated. You're the official.
Sign code.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So that was. What do you say his name was? Bill. Huh? All right. So we're gonna have to review that. So that was interesting. Tried to hold on to my stick that was in the dirt, and he came out to wrestle to try to steal my stick away. And yeah, interesting, right? He said that there's a code against this about the stick being in the dirt. So we will see if that actually is accurate, because we asked him to tell us what code or what ordinance that a stick being in the dirt is a violation, and he refused to do so. So interesting, this video is on official encounters or encounters with public officials, and we had a couple of them come out just for us sitting here with sticks and dirt. And so yeah, trying to hold on to my sign, making sure he didn't take it, because he said he was going to take it away. The sign, I think it says freedom to sit. I forget which one was behind me, but
I think it was the freedom to lie down.
the one behind me was freedom to sit. So let me finish the how the city council meeting thing goes, so everybody knows. So there's a reading, or first reading. There's at the beginning of the meeting. There's public comment section for agenda items, and then at the very end of the meeting, it's public comment on anything. So whether it was discussed in the meeting, or if you have an issue you wanted to raise about something else that you haven't been able to be heard, which has happened a few times, and then. Hello. And then on the second reading, they have the same format: agenda items at front, public comment, and then public comment at the very end. But prior to the vote, the city council's vote on any of their items of a second reading, they have a public hearing section. And so the second reading is important, because the public hearing section, if the public doesn't have any comment, there's no public comment in the public hearing section, then they have done in the past. And I think this was actually what they did with the tax one. They took the second reading as the third reading. They made a motion to take the second reading as the third reading. So essentially skipping the third reading, the third opportunity to hear from the public, because there was no public comment in the public hearing. So to inform the public, it's important, if you want to try to have your voice be heard at the city council meetings, then there's opportunity to do that in those different ways, right? Agenda items, public hearing on the second reading, and then at the very end for anything. And then at the third reading, there isn't a public hearing section, it's just agenda items at the beginning, and then open public comment at the end. So we have comments. All right, what's going on?
So, Sherry Pascas
Yeah.
says aggressive. Andy Estill says wow. Sherry Pascas, I can't say.
Yeah.
Says Bill Sidor? Question mark.
So he said from the codes. He's from the codes department, and I think his name. He said his name was Bill. So I don't know his last name. He didn't give his last name. But so yeah. So that's if interesting development. So let's go ahead and if you would stand up and get a video of the dirt up here. Splatter. So this is more disturbed than it has been, because he jerked it out of the ground, but we're going to go ahead and just do what we have been doing and cover up the hole, push the dirt back. As you can see, it's on the side, not disturbing the plants, not disturbing the planter. We'll go to the other side, make sure that hole is plugged up as well.
Less disturbed than the other.
Okay, so we have a hole. We're just going to go ahead and move the dirt back, pat it down. Okay, good job, plants. You're doing a wonderful job. Yeah, so that's where we're at this morning. And come join us if you're interested in a peaceful protest. And we'll see, how some city officials respond to peace. Some choose a more aggressive stance to try to take personal property away because they think they have the right to do so, which they don't. Another comment? You said?
Andy Estill says, but can't AIGHT such code ... Melinda Marks says, holy cow, glad you got that all on video. Where would one look up the codes to see if that's even a violation?
Yeah, there's the AMC is the Aberdeen Municipal Code. That word always trips me up. The Aberdeen Municipal Code. So you can find that on the city's webpage. We may post a link to that. So yeah, interested to find out, how this progresses. All right, so stay tuned. Peace and love. We wish you wellness, and Deo Presso Liber.